Welcome everyone to episode 2 in a series that the VBW is calling The Build to Yardstock. My name is Mike Ranahan, and tonight I sit down in an exclusive interview with a former VBW Canadian and hardcore champion, The Dream, Jimmy Dean. Jimmy, thanks for being here.
It's pleasure's all mine, Mike. It's nice to see you again after so many years. And before we begin, I just want to let you know you can sit easy because unlike the last person that you interviewed, I'm going to try to conduct myself with just a little bit more class. So you're good, my friend. You're good.
Well, I will thank you right off the bat for that. I want to start right from the beginning. The VBW returns with Season 3, and in Episode 1, you actually give up your shot in the Canadian Championship tournament for a World Championship match against the GOAT James Blade. What's your thought process with that decision? How did you come to that decision?
Well, first of all, just like you, Mike, when I heard that T-Bone was going to be bringing the VBW back, I was super excited, and I thought to myself, what better way to make a splash than to be in the main event on the very first episode back? That, and it gave me a chance to get my hands on that scumbag James Blade again. So, I mean, was that worth giving up my shot in the Canadian Championship tournament? You know, I thought so, but unfortunately it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, and I've been playing catch-up all season long.
You did come up short in that match. How do you respond to these rumors that James Blade, when he gave you the switchblade, he might have had a steel plate in his boot? Do you think that's true?
Well, you know what? True or not, it wouldn't surprise me knowing the character of James Blade, but at the end of the day, Mike, the fault was mine. I made the mistake. I got hit by the switchblade. You know, and I have to live with that, and I have to move forward. And moving forward, you know, I realize I've got to have a solid game plan, and I got to stick to that game plan if I'm going to have any kind of success.
What is it about James Blade? He not only did he cost you that match, but he's cost you other matches. He took away your opportunity for a rematch when he gave you that match against Big Cat Scott Henson. He ends up hitting you with the World Championship belt. He cost you that match. And he also cost you a match against Caden Talbane. Is that just the type of guy we need to expect that James Blade is?
Well, you know, James Blade always says, go back and watch the footage. And you know what? I agree with him 100%. Go back and watch the footage. You'll see that me and him, we've locked horns many, many times over the years, and I've beaten him more than once. You know, and the only logical explanation that I can come to, Mike, the reason that he's getting involved in my business so much, is that he's afraid to step into the ring one-on-one in a fair fight with me. He knows that I'm going to beat him, so you know what? He's going to try to derail my momentum in any kind of way, shape possible that he can. You know what? And that's great. All the power to him, because every single thing that he does to me, whether it's hitting me with a belt, hitting me with a switchblade, you know, attacking me backstage, all these little things, it just builds up that fire inside me that much more. It just builds up that intensity inside me that much more. And when we step into that ring together at Yardstock, I guarantee you, Mike, every little single thing that he's done to me, I'm going to return to him tenfold.
We're going to get to Yardstock, but before we do, I want to ask about a couple other members of the VBW roster. Sure. You've had a couple interactions with guys like Ice Cold Eddie Allen. I can remember a time when you were talking with Sasha St. Clair and he interrupted you. I also think about your dealings with Mean Streak Mike Dempsey. What is it about Jimmy Dean that attracts these guys to you?
Well, Mike, you know, I've always prided myself on living by tenets of, you know, honor, integrity, and fairness. You know, if somebody like Ice Cold Eddie Allen wants to step up and get into the face of our general manager, Sasha St. Clair, I'm not going to sit there and let that happen. You know, he wanted a hardcore match. Fine, I'm a little bit of hardcore myself. So I smashed a guitar over his head, hopefully taught him a little bit of a lesson. And as far as Mike Dempsey goes, I mean, he wants to run his mouth against our fans. You know, I'm not going to sit there and let that happen either. I mean, Mike, you know, we have got some of the greatest fans in the entire world. Our fan base globally has got some amazing characters in it. You know, guys like Landon Bart, guys like Angel Hernandez, you know, guys like Darren Bader, guys like Ryan Brady, and let's not forget Hal Paulin. You know, shout out to Superfan Hal. You know, every time I step into that ring, every time I step through those ropes, it's these guys that are the guys that I'm fighting for. It's their passion that gives me that little bit of extra juice to go that little bit extra mile that I need to. And you know, if Mike Dempsey wants to sit there and run his mouth against them, wants to sit there and insult him, you know, Jimmy Dean's not going to let that happen. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do something.
Let's get to the biggest show in backyard wrestling, Yardstock. You have been rewarded with a rematch for that VBW World Championship against the GOAT James Blade. What do you say to the naysayers, Jimmy Dean, the people that think you cannot get the job done? You're essentially an underdog heading into this match.
Well, you know what, Mike? I have been an underdog my entire life. My whole life, I've been told, you can't do this, you can't do that. Jimmy Dean, you're too skinny to win the hardcore championship. Jimmy Dean, you're too fat to win the Canadian championship. Well, you know what? I pride myself on proving all these naysayers wrong. I'm going to share with you right now, Mike, a little something that my grandfather used to say to me. He used to tell me that if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then your body can achieve it. And I've always lived by that tenets. And when I get into Yardstock with James Blade, history's going to be made.
What can we expect to see? What can the fans get excited for at Yardstock?
Well, this main event, like I just said, history is going to be made. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out knuckle duster. And when I get into that ring with James Blade, I am going to kick his ass from one side of that ring to the other. And just... James, this next part's for you. I know you're at home, and I know you're watching me. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to that wall. I want you to get that calendar, and I want you to put an X on every day between this day and Yardstock, because that is all the time that you have left. I am walking out of Yardstock, the VBW World Champion. Buddy, I have got a ticket to Dreamland with your name on it, and as God is my witness, I am going to punch it. Because if you think you're walking out of there still champion, you must be dreaming.
The main event of Yardstock, the Dream Jimmy Dean takes on the GOAT James Blade.